The rain in St. Cinder's was not just water. It was a constant, sad sound hitting the windows of Vance's rare books. Elias Vance, who owned the shop, was a quiet man who kept silent instead of selling books. He had stopped being a reporter a long time ago. His store was dark, full of old books and dust. It was here that she walked in, cutting through the fog like a sharp blade. She was tall, wearing a cheap dark coat, and her eyes, a bright, worried green, looked around quickly, as if shadows were watching her. She said her name was Lena Dubois. Her voice was shaky, full of fear. Her twin sister, Clara, had vanished after finding something too big for her. Clara had only mentioned the ledger. Elias tried to send Lena away, saying he didn't do that messy job anymore. But she put a wet leather book on the counter. It was Clara's journal, noting every hour until the last worried message. The collector knows. Meet where silence meets time. The third moon hides the cost. That last line was enough. Elias felt his old reporter's spark come back. Elias began to look for Clara, using the journal as his guide. Clara's flat, above a loud fish market, should have looked like someone left fast, but it was too clean. It felt empty, like a stage after a show. The only clue he found was a small copper coin with silver inlay under a loose floorboard in the closet. It had no value, only a confusing pattern on one side. The other side had a faint letter C with a darker, stronger letter L written over it. Elias put the coin in his pocket. He figured out the words, "Where silence meets time," meant the old St. Cinder's observatory on the hill, where all the clocks had stopped years ago. The most important clue was the third moon. The observatory had 3 clocks, but the third one was special. It was an old moon clock, frozen in time. Elias felt the familiar excitement of solving a puzzle. He decided to meet Lena later that night, but he didn't tell her about the coin or his idea about the clock. The walk up the muddy, winding road to the observatory was in thick fog. The building stood tall and empty against the dark sky. Inside, the silence was broken only by dripping water. Elias walked through the old metal machines until he reached the room with the huge moon clock. Right where the frozen third moon's hand rested, he found a small, open leather map case that had been ripped. There was no one there, but it felt like something fast and scary had just happened. As Elias leaned over, a deep, empty voice said, "You are too late, Vance. Tell your client the ledger is closed." A big man, completely hidden by the shadow of a telescope, stepped partly into the light. He wore a long, clean black coat, and Elias knew he was the collector. Elias had no weapon and knew he couldn't win a fight. This meeting made 2 things clear. The mystery was very dangerous, and Clara's collector was very real. Back safely at his bookstore, Elias looked at the small piece of leather. It was not a map, but part of a key card holder. It had the logo for the St. Cinder's Central Data Repository, the building that held all the city's digital records. Elias suddenly understood. The ledger was not a book, but a secret computer file, a list of all the city's bad deeds. This changed everything. He stopped looking for Clara and started thinking about Lena. He met her the next morning at a small, broken-down cafe by the water. The rain had stopped, but the air was still cold. Lena seemed calm now, not scared anymore. She listened to Elias talk about his run-in with the collector without showing any fear, and she didn't ask what he looked like, only what he said. He said the ledger is closed. "Does that mean Clara is?" she asked, not finishing the awful question. Elias looked closely at her calm jaw and her eyes that were too steady, and the last part of the puzzle clicked. The coin in his pocket with the L over the C and the apartment that was too clean, it was all wrong. Lena did not come to him to find her sister. She came to him to set a trap. The truth hit him like a piece of ice. Clara and Lena were twin sisters who worked together to try and cheat the city's bad leaders by threatening to show them the digital ledger. The coin, Elias now knew, was a special access key to the data building. Lena's darker L meant she had won the fight, and worse, took over. The clean apartment was where Lena had cleaned up her sister's death. The words, "The third moon hides the cost," were not about the clock. They were a secret code for a hidden bank account in the ledger file. Lena had gotten the file, got the key, and then, wanting all the power for herself, killed her sister. Then she hired Elias, a famous old reporter, to make it look like the collector did it. Elias called Lena and asked her to meet him at the bookstore that night, pretending he had found a new clue. She came, still in her dark coat, looking eager and impatient now, not scared. The silver coin on his palm. "The L on this coin, Lena," he said, his voice quiet. "It is written over the C. You got the ledger, and Clara was the price you paid. You used me to trick the police and the real collector into going to the observatory." The loud sound of police sirens rushing to the corner of St. Cinder's was the end of her story. The ledger file, with all the city's dark secrets, was already on its way to the newspaper editor, sent hours ago in a secret message. Did you enjoy the story's twist, or would you like to explore a different genre for another piece? I could also draft a short follow-up paragraph detailing what happened to Elias after that night. Like this story, and subscribe if you want to know what Elias finds next.